There is some wild stuff in the Bible, right? Like early on, God asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son. God asked Abraham to kill his only son. And Abraham, like most fathers, said, all right, I'll do it. In his defense, we don't know what Abraham was doing right before God asked him. Maybe Abraham was going through bills and was like, who spent 500 shekels on Nintendo? And then right at that moment, God was like, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice your only son. And Abraham's like, gladly. Can it be a strangle sacrifice? God was communicating with Abraham from heaven. I don't know if he was yelling down. Did anyone overhear the conversation? Like, was there anyone up there in heaven? Was Jesus up in heaven? Was God like, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice your only son? And Jesus like, Dad, what the hell are you doing? God was like, we've been through this before. Just mind your own business. Pay no attention to that bearded hippie. Abraham, I'd like you to sacrifice your only son. And Jesus like, Dad, you can't ask Abraham to sacrifice his only son. And God was like, that gives me an idea. Jesus, I'd like you to go down to earth and tell the humans I'm your dad. And Jesus is like, if I go down there, if I tell the humans you're my dad, they might get angry. They might hurt me. And God's like, no. Why would they do that? They seem so nice down there. Jesus is like, all right, if I go down there and they start to hurt me, you'll stop them. And God's like, yeah, definitely, probably, maybe. Abraham was rewarded for his loyalty, right? He got to live to the age of 175. He died when he was 175, which is cool. But that was the last 90 years. Yikes, right? Do you think when they were first writing down the Bible, anyone was like, wait, do we really want to put 175? I mean, we want people to read this, right? Why don't we just put 75? You know, that's a good run. I could see it. Mediterranean diet. I could have. You know. 175. If you met someone today and they're like, my grandpa lived to 175, you'd be like, you're mentally ill. Could you imagine if you lived to 175? You're like, yeah, I retired at 60. I had no idea I had another 115 years to go. How much pickleball am I supposed to play? That's true. That was Abraham's reward. He got to live to 175. He also is the founding figure of not just one religion, but three religions, right? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which is amazing. You know what's even more amazing? Those three religions, best buddies. They get along great, no problems. Does Abraham feel any responsibility? Does he ever look down from heaven like, yikes! I didn't do that. I've identified there are two times when it's socially acceptable to lie. To spare someone's feelings, it's okay to lie. It's also okay to lie to cover up a murder. Allow me to explain. When we discover someone's a murderer, we also learn they've done some fibbing. But we tend to focus on the murder part. You never hear, I'm angry he killed that guy, but frankly, I'm more upset about the lying. It's the dishonesty that bothers me. Some trust has been broken. Speaking of lying murderers, I watch a lot of Dateline. I don't want to brag. Some other winners out there. If you're unfamiliar or you have a life, Dateline is a news magazine show like 60 Minutes, but at one point, Dateline just went all in on murder. And it's usually spousal murder. Like if you watch Dateline, it appears most marriages end in murder. Every episode starts the same. They had the perfect marriage. But you know someone's getting killed. A husband, a wife, sometimes they'll get someone else to kill their spouse, which seems impersonal. It's like you took a vow, do it yourself. Anyway, I was watching this one episode of Dateline about this guy who murdered his wife. It was gruesome. I was watching with my wife on our anniversary. My wife didn't care. I mean, she wasn't thrilled I was taking notes. What are you writing down? This guy's just sloppy. It's like he's trying to get caught. If anything, this guy's plan was foolproof. What he did on his anniversary is he threw a party for him and his wife, and they invited all their friends so that they could see how happy they were. And then the next morning, he took his wife fishing. He rented a boat, he brought a cooler, some tackle, 3 concrete blocks, and a tarp. You know, for fishing. And he would have gotten away with the whole thing. But 3 months after his wife disappeared at sea, he got engaged to a stripper, which is kind of suspicious. And to celebrate their engagement, they dropped acid, as tradition would have. And while tripping on acid, he admitted the whole thing to his fiancée. And she turned him in because she didn't appreciate the dishonesty. And as the episode ended, all I could think is, I'm a terrific husband. I've never even thought of murdering my wife. Well, I've never made plans to murder my wife. Well, I don't own concrete blocks. I'm ignored at my Y. I'm ignored at all health clubs. Like when I walk into a fitness area, even in a hotel, people always look at me like, I didn't know they serve food here. The only people that approach me are personal trainers. They're like, you looking for a personal trainer? No. You should be. So I've gotten to the point, if I'm approached by a personal trainer, I just act like they're hitting on me. They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm married. I don't think you understand. I understand perfectly. You want to get with me, but I'm taken, so you can look, but no touchy. I got to do some international shows this year. I performed in Japan for the first time, which was amazing. I mean, I wasn't in Japan just for stand-up. I was also modeling. I wish that wasn't that funny. But Japan, the Japanese are just, they're better at being human. Can we admit that? They're more polite, they're better at design. The Japanese toilet, are you familiar with the Japanese toilet? The Japanese took the most disgusting experience of human existence and fixed it. The Japanese toilet washes you, dries you, does your taxes. And that is in a Tokyo airport bathroom. You leave a Japanese public restroom cleaner than when you walked in. You leave an American public restroom with PTSD. Your only thought is, how can I forget that experience? Is there alcohol nearby? The entire time I was in Japan, I felt overweight, probably because I am overweight. But generally, the Japanese are thin. I mean, there are people that are overweight in Japan, but not like in America. We're better at not being thin. Because if you get really fat in Japan, they make you sumo wrestle. They make their fat people fight each other to entertain the thin people. And the fat people in Japan go along with it. Well, why am I doing this? It's prestigious. Now you try and push that other fat ass out of the circle. Oh, we try not to giggle. But first, throw on this giant diaper and put your hair in a bun. It's very dignified. The Japanese are quiet and polite. They're like the opposite of my children. I had my kids with me, and they were always making loud noises. Occasionally, I would catch a Japanese person looking at my poorly behaved kids, and then they would look at me, and I'd always say the same thing. We're Canadian. Of course, we're not Canadian, but that is what some Americans do when they travel internationally. They tell people they're Canadian, which I think is cowardly. That's why I always tell people I'm North Korean. Then I get the respect I deserve. How much attention does the country of North Korea need at this point? Every 2 days, North Korea's like, we're gonna blow up the world! Isn't there a part of you that's like, then just do it?